Okay, let's talk about the C6500, whatever you want to call it, 2-ton, 2.5-ton GMC grain truck I bought. Did some videos on 3 or 4 years ago. So I'll recap how that truck started out a little bit, and then I'll update you on the story of it as harvest went on. So, you know, I was going to try and do the deer corn thing, and then do some soybeans, try to get back into row cropping a little bit, which I decided to not do due to changes that occurred within that year that were kind of unexpected or unplanned, and just time constraints and stuff involved with that. The decision was made to kind of cut back. It was more than I was going to be able to handle, and basically take care of family and more important things. I'll just leave it at that. So I needed a grain truck. I found this truck, or that truck, up right in the very southern part of Kentucky. We made a run up there. Truck was really good. Looked nice. Appeared to run good. Paid the guy, purchased it. Got in it, started headed back south, and I made it about a mile or two, and the thing died on. And like I said, I'm sure I'll talk about this all more in detail in an older video. You want to go back and find those. The springtime of 2020, when COVID started. Lovely COVID. Anyway, I ain't gonna get on that soapbox. Where was I? I was talking about truck. So it died in a bad spot at an intersection. Couldn't get it to do anything. You know, it was an automatic truck. It would try to start up and just stumble and flutter and die. It would not run. That was a throttle body injected 366 6.0 liter gas V8. Called the owner real quick, which I knew was just, or owner, I guess I was the new owner at that point, but the guy just bought it from him. He got in his truck, ran down there real quick, had a tow strap, and which my wife was behind me in the F-250, but she was kind of, I had her with flashers on. We were in a turn lane, an intersection, to make a right turn, and it was a little congested, and people were coming up behind and like trying to sit there and wait their turn, and didn't realize I was dead in the water. So she was trying to help. So anyway, the guy got there, get tow strap hooked to me. We pulled it back and pulled it in a nearby empty parking lot, and we kind of started going over some stuff, and just nothing was jumping out, and we couldn't get it to run. It might hit miss a little bit here and there, but it would not run. So the guy offered me my money back, and I told him I still wanted the truck, cause just, you know, to figure out what was going on. And it was that on a weekend? I can't remember. It was later in the day. I know that. It was really cold, I think, if I remember right. And or was it cold? It was cool. Anyway, he said he just had the truck worked on, had like a tune-up or something done on it, and he said he'd have that guy come get it and carry it back to the shop, and, you know, go from there. So we got our money back, went home, and a day or two later he got with me and was like, Yeah, the guy looked at it, and I forget what he replaced. It was, I want to say all he put on it was a distributor cap. And I thought, okay, that seemed odd that for the symptoms that I was observing, but you know, he said it was running fine. And I was like, okay, well, I still want it. And but I told him, I said I didn't want to have to drive all the way back up there. So the guy agreed to meet us part of the way. And I thought, well, if he can make it that far with it and you don't die again, then it's probably all right to make the rest of the journey home. So we did that, made the journey home with it. All that went well until, if you remember the previous videos on it, I got to inspecting it the day after I got it, or some day, I don't remember when it was, that I looked it over, and they'd put new plug wires on it during that tune-up or something. They were not high temperature wires, and I barely made it home with it. Down by the headers, it had, or the exhaust manifold, it had melted the boots onto the spark plugs, and the wires were just about to kind of come detached from the end of the spark plug there. Yeah, they were pretty bad. But so I did some work to the truck, as seen in those previous videos. I did some high temp plug wires. I did some of those high temperature boots over the spark plug boot, you know, down there at the end around the exhaust manifold. Some new belts, and did some filters, oil change. Just did several little maintenance items. The truck was running good. Some of the last videos y'all seen of it was I had kind of converted it into a bit of a nurse truck for the year, just hauling water and some chemicals around. I kind of kept stored in there, and I mean, I didn't really need it or use it other than that through the summer, other than just starting it occasionally, driving it around. I mean, it seemed healthy, ran good, no cause for concern. So didn't see anything else needed to do to it. And so we got towards harvest. So here's where the new information begins. I got the Gleaner R42, which I don't think I did any videos on that. Had that shipped in with what did it have, a 15 or 18 foot? So it was an 18 foot grain header, and I got a 4-row corn header for it, and low hour, very clean combine. Got it out of Ohio, and it did well. But I'd spent a lot of time going over it, learning it, getting used to getting it set up for the corn. And I was right down to the day before I was going to start picking corn, at least trying it, seeing where my moisture was, etc., etc. And so that day before, I was like, well, I'm ready for the truck. And it kind of been sitting in the shed and had some dust on it and whatnot. So I thought, I'm just going to pull it up in the yard, spray it off, and wash the cab a little bit, hose the bed down. Just, you know, I knew it'd be driving it back and forth a good bit. I'd already made the decision at that point that I really wasn't going to be keeping the corn. So, yeah, I knew I was going to be hauling several loads of corn, about 40-45 minute haul on every load. So, you know, got it cleaned up that morning. Didn't really wash in the engine bay or anything like that. Didn't get nothing wet in there that I recall. I I did, I remember opening the hood as it sat in the yard the rest of the day, just letting the truck dry. And I went on doing other things. So that evening, and it was right at dark, I'd kind of got done for the day and was pretty much set to, start picking corn the next day. And lay on, get the truck, put it back in the shed. Wouldn't start, wouldn't even fire. Just it'd turn over and turn over and turn over, but nothing. So I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, I didn't know where to start. The throttle body injection was new to me. Had it been a carburetor, that'd been a different story. So I didn't really know what to do. I kind of, first things first, checking wires and this, that, and the other, just thinking, man, I drove this thing up here and parked it. It was fine, and now it won't even hit a lick. I was not smelling any fuel anywhere, like, an engine that you crank and crank, like a carburetor. There's gas going in, but it ain't getting burned. So I didn't really understand the throttle body injection that well. But my initial thoughts was, okay, it's not getting fuel. This isn't good, So tried to get it to crank for a little while, didn't get anywhere. Didn't seem to be smelling any fuel anywhere, so my primary concern was that. And I think there was a small electronic computer device and whatnot associated with the throttle body injection. I was like, great, I don't know where I'm going to do to get that, etc., etc. So I finally left it. I went home, got on the internet, forums, this, that, and the other, which good thing about the throttle body injection and the TBI, anybody watches Vice Script Garage, I think he calls it TB. Anyway, so the good thing is, from the half-ton trucks up to the big trucks, the theory in that is, in that time era, was the same. So you can kind of research, no start issues on pickup trucks, etc., and it kind of leads you down the same troubleshooting path. So in my research, I discovered that there's some electronics in the distributor on these, and I think there's one electronic device you can change in the distributor, and I think maybe the other one is part of the distributor, which kind of requires replacing the whole distributor, which if you do that, it comes with the other device in it. But in researching that, I learned that in the communication between the ignition system and the throttle body injection, if certain things go wrong in the distributor there, in the ignition, that the throttle body injection will not inject any fuel. So the thought process there was, okay, I need to, because I never did look, I need to look to see if I've got spark, because if I've got spark and I don't have fuel, that's one thing, but if I don't have spark, then it shouldn't have fuel, if I remember that right and understood it right. And that would answer why I wasn't smelling any fuel. So did all that research and got out there the next morning when I had planned to be in the field, and looked for spark, no spark. So I was like, oh, all right. So I don't have spark, so the fuel system should be fine. And so my options were to try to either replace that little piece in the distributor which I believe may have been what they replaced when the truck died originally when I bought it, that distributor cap. I think they may have threw those two pieces on new and went with it. So I pulled the distributor cap off and I looked in the distributor. It was extremely corroded in there. Like everything, nuts or anything in it was rusted over. It just did look bad. So at that point I was like, all right, I'm just, what's a new distributor cost? So I'm on the phone and I'm Googling and I'm like, okay, distributor, which, you know, same distributor is used on 350s. I mean, you could pick one up for a wide range or one would fit a wide range of engines. So it's just a matter of finding one at that point. Again, this was during COVID, all the shortages started and all that. So first couple places didn't have one, and then I came up with one for about $130, I think it was. At Advanced Auto Parts or something. I normally use AutoZone for my purchases, but in this case I had to get what I could. So I got the distributor, got back out there, marked the timing kind of on the old one best I could, because, you know, I was yanking this one out and throwing another one in. Just trying to be careful there. So did all that, hooked it all back up, took my best guess at the timing on it, and I had timing light, so I was like, let me get it started and I'll, you know, set the timing on it. And lo and behold, thing fired right up. So I wouldn't be surprised going all the way back to when I bought it and it died that time, that whatever was going on was the same thing then. It was just intermittent and maybe was centered around moisture, because I did wash the truck the day before. I didn't get the distributor area wet, but the truck was wet, so maybe some moisture accumulated in there. I don't know, but I suspect it needed a new distributor all along. Something in there was not right, or severely corroded, intermittent. But anyway, got the new distributor in there, and, you know, slight sigh of relief. Still behind schedule from where I wanted to be. Got my timing light, and I never could get that to work right. I don't know. It's simple timing light. I just could not get it to flash and strobe like I needed it to set the timing. So after a little bit of dinking with that, I got out and researched real quick, you know, just timing it. It sounded pretty good, but you kind of set it by ear a little bit. So I kind of researched that, doing it safely. I didn't want to time it to where I might hurt anything. So if I remember right, I just kind of took it and turned it by, you know, I went both directions to kind of find the sweet spot in the middle, but in the end I think I retarded it in timing till it was kind of stumbling, and then moved it forward a little bit till it smoothed out and locked her down right there. And that was the best I could do without my timing not working right. And I could be wrong on that. It might have been the other way around, but I don't think you wanted it too advanced, if I remember. Anyway, I was trying to play it safe. So got in the field late that afternoon, got a bin of corn picked, moisture was good, got it in the truck was doing good, and I started my corn harvest for 2020. Now, that's not the end of the truck. I started out with a small field of corn. I don't know if y'all remember that. I had a little 2-acre spot, so didn't get a lot out of that. So by the next day, actually that night, I moved, got the wife, she helped me move the combine to that main big field I had that y'all seen videos of me planting the corn. And I think I may have had one of it first coming up. And I don't know, I probably didn't mention this in the video, but when I put my nitrogen down for that corn, I hit it at the absolute perfect time. That couldn't have timed out any better. As far as I got it out, everything went out smooth. I got a rain, I think, that evening, which got it in the ground. So that really, I mean, corn really took off at that point. But anyway, back to the truck. So I got started in that big field the second day of harvest, and it didn't take long. Like I said, about 180 bushel acre, and I had 3 bin loads in the truck. I'm trying to remember what the bin size on that R42 was. 100 bushel, 150 bushel. I don't remember. I had a decent load in the truck. I didn't have it rounded up. I think I made three dumps out of the combine into the truck, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go with that. So I lied out with the first load, and yeah, I'm heavy. I get down the road a little ways. Truck's running good, brakes are doing good, but I'm seeing smoke coming out of the back of the truck. And made it down the road a little ways further. There was a gas station. I pulled in there and I get out, and I'm like, okay, I figure out what's going on here. I got smoke just bellowing out the back of the truck. And it was one of my rear brake drums was really smoking, and I got to looking at it and figured that as the truck had sat there during the summer, had an axle seal leaking some gear oil in the brake lining, and when I heated them brakes up with that load, it was rolling some smoke. So I had an uncle's house that was not far away, that was on my way, so I kind of called him up and was like, hey, you got a water hose out here and some stuff. I said, I need to try to get in here and rinse this thing out best I can, see if I can't limp this thing to where I was headed, get that load out of it. So made it his place, thing's still smoking. Hosed it out real good. I mean, it was hot. I mean, he hit it with the water and it was boiling. So did that. He had some empty jugs there. I got some water in just in case I lit the thing on fire. Actually, no, he lent me like a little 2-gallon pressurized sprayer. Put water in it so I could get spray up in behind the deal wheels there and into where the brake drum area was. So from where I was right there, I basically hit the interstate up until kind of a small stretch until where I was going to deliver the corn. I actually delivered the corn to a co-op. And for one reason was due to time constraints, I didn't have time to sit in long lines at where the main places where they were taking corn, and so I took a little bit of a pay cut per load doing that, but I didn't have to wait. I was able to get there, unload, and get back, and thank goodness with that brake drum smoking. So I got there, thing was still smoking. It was a little less. It was starting to burn off. But anyway, got it unloaded, got back, and I kind of scratched my head on what to do because I didn't have the time and didn't really want to pull all that apart for that. And it was kind of clearing itself up a little bit, so I thought, okay, I'm just going to keep going with it. I hope this gets better, and maybe I can get these few loads that I'm going to have for the year done, and we'll figure it out after that. Because otherwise, it was running good. So that's what we did, and it kept smoking. It got better and better as it kind of burned off. But I got the corn hauled, and then I don't think I had about 3 loads of beans that I carried. And of course, at that point, I'd realized I wasn't going to row crop anymore. I didn't really need the truck. It was a nice looking and running truck, other than the things that happened. Excuse me. But by the time I got to that last load and the finish line was in sight and I knew I was going to sell it, I went ahead and posted it up online, and literally had a guy come from Atlanta and buy the truck the day or the second day after I hauled my last load of beans in it. I didn't even have it cleaned up. And I told the guy, I was like, I don't have it cleaned up yet. I was like, there's still some loose soybeans in the bed. He was like, he didn't care. So he came and looked at it, and I told him about the distributor and the timing, and I said, it wouldn't hurt to have somebody with a working timing light set it, but I was like, it seems to be running fine. And anyway, he bought it, drove it all the way back to Atlanta. That was the last I heard of it. So that's the story on the GMC grain truck. Thankfully nothing else happened during that time, but that's how it unfolded. But anyway, this video done got long-winded, so I'll wrap this one up. But I just wanted to kind of end the story on the grain truck. That's about it. So if you made it this far, thanks for watching and or listening, whichever one you're doing. And I'll try to put together another one. I'm filling y'all in on some things before I go into any new content. So thanks for watching. See ya.